Hey troopers, what's happening? Welcome back to the 501st Com Chatter with your host, me, Will, and
Chloe.
how are we doing, guys? Hope you are having a good week. Another great episode of Ahsoka in the books, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
It's us. We're going to be breaking down episode 6, is it? Yeah. So we're going to be breaking down episode 6 this week. Picking up on little details we missed, little theories that we have about certain characters, certain possibilities of the future. So, yeah, we hope you enjoy this episode. But before we begin, got a little bit of news, we always do. So, we are going to start off with the Disney Legacy lightsaber hilts. Not hilt, hilts.
We got two.
So you got Ahsoka's joint pair there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I think they look really good. I think they used to have these hilts at Disney, but they were like the Rebels version, and I think they're a little bit chunkier. But now they've brought the official like Ahsoka live action hilts. I think they look really good.
Yeah. Are they metal? Is it sort of plastic on the middle bit?
I think they're metal, but I don't. Their blades aren't sort of like NeoPixel or anything like that, but they're more like affordable for people, visiting the park and stuff. But yeah, I really like
affordable.
This. Yes, because anyone that has a NeoPixel knows how expensive they are and how bright and how beautiful they are. But
that might be. But do you know how much those pair are? Because I've actually looked it up.
I'm not sure.
Have a guess.
Yes.
For the pairs, this is, by the way. This isn't just for the one. This is for the pair.
Probably like $500.
$350.
$350. Okay. Yeah. So there you go.
That's
I aimed a bit higher just because there is two of them.
True, but then I guess one of them is like smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got this. We got a couple of photos of them. We got them there with the blades. The blades look okay. They don't look anything crazy.
I think from what I've heard, because obviously it's the curved hilt, they only fit that specific hilt. You can't just use, whereas like some of the other ones like Anakin's and stuff, I think it's just because it's straight, it will fit multiple different hilts. Whereas this one is almost similar to Dooku's, where it's a bit curved. So from what I've heard, these blades only fit that particular hilt.
Oh, well, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But I guess
you get a shorter one and a longer one.
Yeah. Obviously you got the little hook on the bottom, so you'd probably say an Ahsoka cosplayer in the making, this is one that you might want to get.
Yeah. More affordable.
And they come in obviously this nice little box.
Yeah.
With obviously the hilts and the blades. And yeah. Looks quite nice. But there's not too much to say about it. It's just a bit like
I think any Ahsoka fan visiting the Disney parks would definitely be interested in those.
Yes. So there we go. That is the news.
That's the only news we have this week.
Yeah, it's not a lot. We do have an update about next week's episode, but I'll wait that till the end for you guys, which is quite a good one. I think we think you're gonna like it. Obviously, this week we had Ahsoka, episode 6, called Far, Far Away. Now, before I get into the episode, I just want to put this little picture up because this came out the other day.
Yes.
And so I was like...
This is something on Disney+. I can't remember what it's called now.
Is it Master and Apprentice?
Yeah. So kind of similar to how they always put behind the scenes of Mandalorian and Boba Fett and all that. And now we have one for the Ahsoka to show Anakin coming back. Yeah,
so we've got Hayden and obviously Rosario sort of hanging out again, looking like they're having a whale of a time.
Yeah.
Then you got Rosario taking a selfie of her, Hayden and Filoni. Mm-hmm. What an image. Aww. And then I really like the top one, which is Hayden sort of talking about, you know, how Anakin should be, because I've seen the clip of that bit,
Yeah.
and he's basically, you know, he's talking about how he should be holding the blade, how he should be using it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just think it's a really interesting picture, because obviously he's not coming in and being like, okay, this is what I'm doing. He's having an input in it, being like, no, this is what Anakin does, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really cool thing.
I mean, he knows Anakin like the back of his hand. Like, he even did all the work for the games and stuff. And you can tell just by the way that he swings it around his back and stuff. Like, he's still got it. He's still got all these lightsaber skills all the way from 2005. Like,
yeah. I think his swing is called the Obi-Wan, isn't it?
Yes.
The Obi-Wan swing, and obviously we saw that last week, and
Yeah.
I think it's just nice to see, you know, he's getting the love that he deserves from the fans.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we all kind of felt that celebration. You know, back in 2005, he wasn't having such a great time. People didn't like, you know, the fact that this guy was gonna turn into Darth Vader, which was like the most iconic villain of the time. It still probably is, you know. Everyone knows Darth Vader. But I think now, you know, as people, you know, grow up or whatever, people grew up watching the prequels, and now he has like such a fan base, and everyone knows, like, obviously the Clone Wars and stuff, which brought a lot more to his character. And, you know, now he's, I mean, personally, I've always loved him ever since I grew up, you know. So I've never been one of the haters, but I know not everyone likes Hayden, but I think now he definitely has a lot more of a following than what he did back in 2005, because now, you know, you've got sort of our generation that grew up watching it, and then their kids and things grew up watching it, and then, you know, he's got an even bigger fan base. So
what does what next generation has grown up with the sort of likes of you know, the Force Awakens and stuff like that. So, you know, maybe in a couple of years' time, you know, maybe that will start getting.
Yeah. I mean, in years to come, people will have grown up watching Ahsoka. I feel old already. But yeah, I think now Anakin's getting the recognition that he deserves, and I love it. And I think last week's episode was just the best sort of episode we've ever had in, like,
100%.
Yeah.
Out of all the shows
since, like, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. And to be honest, it just keeps getting better. Like, I know I said to you, now this is quite funny, I said to you at the end, I think it was towards the end of last week's episode, I said to you, are they going to be, it's not going to be as good as last week, but hopefully it'll carry on. It was so good this week. I really loved it, and there's so many details where I'm like loving it. I was like, this is the best show we've had live action, 100%.
I think
putting it out there.
I think last week's was definitely hard to top, but I think this week definitely was up there because of all the people we've seen, which obviously we'll get on to. I don't want to spoil it yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, you know, all the fans of the animated shows and stuff, they're definitely, you know, putting it all live action.
Yeah. And also we had so obviously we're going to start talking about this episode now.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to put it out there for people who might be, shall we say, not seen the episode yet. There's going to be spoilers ahead.
Yeah.
Like,
so please,
you know,
if you haven't seen the latest episode of Ahsoka, please
turn off now and then come back to it.
Yeah, we'll just come back later after you've seen it.
Come back. If you have, you're in for a treat because we're going to talk about it.
Also, I thought I'd just say, if you were watching last week's episode on YouTube, we did have a bit of an internet issue. and it cut off. So we do apologise for that. But
Yep.
the rest of the episode is still on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and everything for you to listen to the rest. But we're sorry that the cameras and the internet just cut off there.
I think it was a couple, it was literally just like a couple of minutes, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it was you missed much if you have, but
no. But if you really want to find out the end, go check it out on our like Spotify, stuff like that.
Let's get into episode 6.
Of Ahsoka.
I can't believe we're on episode 6 already.
I know.
There's only 8, and we've only got 2 more. Like, how quick has this gone?
It's so quick. I mean, I always think of it as like it's gone so quick, but then it's like, yeah, we did have 2 episodes to start with.
True.
So then we've only had 3, 4, 5, like 6.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, isn't it? It's crazy. So obviously the episode starts with some of the Purgle cooling. Interestingly though, one of the videos that we watched said in the closed captions, it said distant Purgle calls.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like when we first see them at the start of the episode, they're right there. But I think it's quite just a little interesting nod. Maybe it's from something that happens later in the show. Maybe we'll talk about that. But we see the Purgle in hyperspace, and it looks a little bit different, doesn't it?
Yeah. So when they're in the hyperspace, we can see like all these different colors, which is something we've never seen before. You know, when a normal ship goes into hyperspace, but maybe it's because we're transferring to a different galaxy, or maybe it looks different when you're traveling by Purgle rather than by engine on the ship. But it is very nice to look at. But any hyperspace, it's just like, oh.
Yeah, it does look cool because it was just sort of like streaks of colours and that, wasn't it? And it just looked good.
And also, just thought I'd point out, because I've seen a TikTok on this, where in season 3 of The Mandalorian, there's a scene where Grogu is sort of looking out of the starfighter, and he can see like Purgle, like distant Purgle
in the hyperspace.
So maybe that distant Purgle noise was from Grogu's perspective, but
maybe he was sensing Ahsoka in it.
Yeah. So this is what I've seen.
But then I feel like
maybe
the chance I feel like if they confirm that was the case, I feel like the chances of Mando and Grogu like in hyperspace together, like going at the same direction as Ahsoka and the Purgle, like in the same part of the galaxy, I think is so minute. Like the chances of it happening, the timing. So yeah, I'm not getting too carried away with that. But I do like the idea that it could have been. And we get a little dialogue between Ahsoka and Hu Yang.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically feels that like Sabine's gone with him willingly. She doesn't really think about it. But Hu Yang picks up on her fear of that Sabine has gone willingly with Baylan and Skull, and Baylan and Shin and that. But in the end of the day, she's like, "Well, I'm going to take my mind off it."
Yeah.
And tell me one of these stories, and we get the famous "A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away." I thought it was a really cool little one, and obviously the episode itself is called "Far, Far Away." And it's like I saw a video, and it was basically Filoni at Celebration, and they're like, "Oh, where's Ezra?" Or that, and he's like, "He's far, far away." Like, he told us all this time ago.
Wow.
Like, yeah, like I thought that was quite a cool little nod.
Yeah.
And then we get to see the Ring of Zion pop out of hyperspace.
The Eye of Zion.
Eye of Zion.
Yeah. And when it does, there's like all this electrical kind of current come as it's coming out of hyperspace. And also the first thing I noticed was it looks very burnt, like it's almost orange, and then it kind of cools down.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
No, I think so as well, because you think how long it's been in hyperspace.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a normal size ship anyway.
No.
You know, this is quite a, should we say, a big, ship.
Hyperspace ring. Yeah.
But the fact that it was, when it comes out and there's like the sort of burn marks of it on the front of it, and then it sort of cools. I thought that was a really cool little touch.
Yeah. I mean, I have a theory that this may be like a Star Destroyer size hyperspace ring.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's so big. You would never, because I know like some people were speculating maybe it's like a Purgle fits in there or something, but no.
No, it's I'm pretty sure it's a Star Destroyer.
Some kind of Star Destroyer would fit in that, possibly Thrones.
Possibly. We've also, and then we get the ring around Peridia is a graveyard for the Purgle. It's where they come to die.
Yeah.
Which is, like elephants in the wild where they've got what do they call it? They they die in the sort of burial grounds, don't they? They have like a graveyard, elephant graveyard, which I thought was a little bit sad, but I think a cool little nod because that's what they would do.
It almost looks a bit like Saturn with this like ring around it, but it's just, is it Saturn?
Yeah.
And then, but obviously the ring is just made up of all these bones from Purgle.
Yeah. And obviously we get to see Peridia, and we get to see the landscape of it.
Yeah.
Very people who don't know the UK very well, you're probably not going to know this, but I'd say very reminiscent of sort of like the Lake District.
Yeah.
Like it's very sort of mountainy, hilly, but there's also sort of long, flat sort of patches where, looks very grey, looks very bleak. But it looked quite cool, and the fact that this is our first time in Star Wars on another planet that is completely out of the Star Wars galaxy, I thought was really cool. And then we have, to be honest, this is one of my favourite scenes in the episode.
Well, before that, we have the witches, don't we?
We do, but we'll come to that.
Too eager.
I know, but I want to talk about it. And
okay.
So obviously we see Morgan Elsbeth come down with Baylan, Shin, and Sabine, and they come across the three mothers, or the great mothers, sorry, and we see that they're Night Sisters. And we actually learn their names: Actopor, Clofol, and Lachesis. That was it. Yeah. But then in one of the videos that we saw, which was very interesting, Lachesis. I think the name is very similar. Might be a little bit different. Lachesis, Clofo, and Atropos are the three fairs of
Greek mythology.
Yeah. And they're called the Morai,
which is the name of Ahsoka's bird.
Yes. There is a lot of mythology
coming up
within this whole show.
Yeah.
Within Ahsoka, you've obviously got Shin and Baylan from Norse mythology. There's obviously a reference to the Bible in another character coming up. And yeah, so we get that weird Night Sister echo voice when they talk.
Like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, is that Mother Talzin? Like, it sounds exactly the same.
I was like, it's not Mother Talzin, but it sounds like Mother Talzin.
Yeah.
And I did almost question, be like, is this the person who voiced her?
They have like different hats as well, don't they?
So like one's sort of flat, one's a 1 point, and
the
one's
like
two. Like the threads of fate, isn't it? Sorry, the fate. The Greek gods.
Yeah.
Yeah, which again, more mythology
Yep.
within Ahsoka. And obviously we see a bit of their Night Sister magic with the spears that they use. And very interestingly, they call Sabine it.
Yeah.
It reeks of Jedi.
Yeah.
Now I find that quite insulting.
I mean, when they said that and they sort of picked on Sabine, for me, I was thinking, but Balaam used to be a Jedi. So why are they not censoring him? Like, is it because he's, sort of working with Morgan Elsbeth, that they're kind of like, you're on our side kind of thing? Or is it a case of, he sort of managed to block out his Jedi kind of ways to them? Or maybe because he has sort of like non-Jedi ways, like he's
no longer a Jedi.
No. But yeah, he has sort of evil ways about him.
And they also say as well, when they say it reeks of Jedi, and they say it's dangerous.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because it's like, why are they saying that about Sabine? Like, from what we've seen of her this show, I'd say she hasn't been dangerous as such.
No.
But it's almost like there's a what do you call it? They can see stuff in the future, which is obviously proven in the show. And then now can I say it? Okay. Then obviously Sabine's in her sort of, shall we say, cell, because that's basically what it is. All of a sudden there's a bit of a rumble, and she sort of sees a bit of a shadow outside, and then what is it? We get this gorgeous shot of the Chimera. Like, do you know what? I'm gonna say, I reckon this is my favorite Star Destroyer. Like, it is so good.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's just an ordinary Star Destroyer basically, but I know it's got that little design on the bottom, but it's because of whose Star Destroyer it is, and because of how
you are definitely a Thrall fan.
Yes, I am. But it's just so like infamous, isn't it? It's so famous. You know it.
I think like just the outline alone of the Star Destroyer is just so iconic because of all the originals, like all the shots in space and stuff, and like whenever you see it you just think it's a Star Wars, But yeah, obviously we see this Star Destroyer approaching, and then you can see it's like a bit beaten up, but where they've sort of repaired it, it's like bits of gold. And then obviously you see like the underneath as well with like the marking and stuff. Yeah, this is the gold that people watching.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you can see that it is being repaired, quite intensely. Now, obviously, we don't get a sort of clear understanding yet of how it is fixed, but
we know how it got destroyed.
Yeah.
Because of the Purgle wrapped around it in what season was it? 4. Yeah, the end of Rebels. With obviously Ezra and Thrawn on the ship.
Yeah. What I will say as well, I noticed, obviously we get the famous sort of painting on the underbelly of it, which looks incredible.
Yeah.
And they had to include that because it's like, it's, it is the, to make you be like, it is the Chimera, it's not just a random Star Destroyer. Yeah. But one thing that I noticed, that I pointed it out to you, when we sort of get that angle and it sort of goes over the top, we see that the 3 main engines are like not working. It's like the 4 smaller ones. I think it's 4. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, like in the middle. So you got the Star Destroyer engine bit. You got the 3 main ones. Then you got the little ones. The 3 main ones, they didn't have an engine. So obviously that's why it can't travel in hyperspace, because it hasn't.
Yeah.
It's completely damaged.
Yeah.
Um,
So Thrawn's almost stuck on this planet.
yeah. But no, it does look beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Then obviously it slowly descends upon the temple.
Yeah, which it looks just like the one where I can't remember what it's called now. The bit where Morgan Elsbeth put the map on, and then it was like
Oh
all
yes,
and it looks
the
kinda
ruins.
like Stonehenge, but this is like a perfect version of that. So they look the same, but obviously this hasn't been ruined and all of that because it seems quite like a desolate planet.
Yeah. The obviously, and then as it descends, we sort of see that it comes into the hangar bay.
Yeah.
Which I think is again, it's got that ominous music in the background, and then obviously we get our look at the mass amount of stormtroopers in the hangar with the TIE fighters and the ships that we see in Rebels.
Now, when I saw these, I said this to you, like, there's this Japanese, I can't remember what it's called now, but essentially, when there's like a Japanese tradition where bowls and mugs and things, when they get smashed, then they fix them, so they put them back together, but then all the cracks, they look at it as like it makes that object unique, and it's a part of the history of the bowl or whatever it is. So then with the cracks, they kind of paint them gold so that it stands out more, and that's kind of what these stormtroopers look like to me, because they've been battered, but then they've been repaired, and then almost their cracks accentuated by this gold paint that they've put on. So yeah, very kind of Japanese. That's what I think. What I get from this.
Can I talk about these guys?
Yeah.
Because I want to talk about these guys a lot. Now, if you've listened to the podcast, in terms of my favorite Star Wars book is called Death Troopers, and it's basically zombie stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Now
it's a Legends story.
Yes. Now, and I would love them to do it into like live action, because it is an incredible story. You definitely need to check it out, especially on audiobook, because it makes it even better.
Mm-hmm.
But I was seeing these troopers, and I was looking at their damaged, broken armor, cracks in it, got Night Sisters bandages all over, holding stuff together. Now, I genuinely believe all of these stormtroopers that we see are dead.
Yeah.
These are zombie stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Now, we also find out that they have a name, actually.
Mm-hmm.
They are called Night Troopers from the closed caption. So if you watch the show with the captions on, it will say Night Troopers, because they chant Thrawn when he comes out. They're like, Thrawn, Thrawn. And they just look imposing. They look terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at this stormtrooper being like, I wouldn't want to come across those guys.
No.
Like, just look at the, like, but one thing I will say as well, just look at how good the design is on these. Like, now I know some people, like we did it when we were saying about Ahsoka the White, like last episode. I just know as soon as people seen this episode, they're gonna try and cosplay Night Trooper, and it opens up so many more, so we say, avenues for cosplayers to create a battered, holding everything together with tape and glue,
and gold paint,
like stormtroopers, and they just look
amazing.
Incredible. Like, here's another shot of him. Like, this one's got grey on like the top of his head.
Mm-hmm.
This one's got like a grey shoulder. Those two have.
I think there was another one that I seen that just had
I
like
think
a
his-
full-on grey helmet.
I think the face was grey.
Yeah.
I know the
The
one you
majority
mean.
of the helmet was grey. So yeah, we've got a lot of grey, we've got a lot of gold and red all going on with these. But yeah, so our theory is they're gonna be like how Marok, when he got killed, there was like this green mist that sort of escaped him, almost like the
Night Sister
like
magic.
the undead
Yeah.
Night Sisters that they sort of like brought back to life. So that's what we think these are, and also we see them carrying these sort of coffin-like what they called coffin-like caskets. Yeah, so they're all carrying these along. So our theory is maybe they're like dead stormtroopers that the Night Sisters on this planet are going to make into new ones, because Thrawn's been here for 9 years. So.
In 9 years, there is no way possible this many stormtroopers survived normally.
And
like so many got damaged or killed or hurt during the final battle of Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way there is this many still alive and this healthy, shall we say?
No. And also the amount their armor is battered, like no normal person will be able to sort of survive, that much sort of wounds to them.
But they just look like, obviously they've got the wraps on them holding stuff together, and to be honest, it's a really cool look. For me, there's something about a battered, damaged look that I really like. Like, for example, Mayday in the Bad Batch. His whole look with like the bandages holding his old armor and sort of keeping him warm. Like, I thought that was such a cool, unique look. And then obviously we've got the sort of same here with the stormtroopers. And I love it. I love it.
I love it too.
I love it. And then
I think, like you say, it does open a lot more avenues for obviously artists. Like, I might paint one of these. And figures as well, like all the Black Series and Vintage Collection, all that. I bet you there's going to be ones of these coming out.
If after this episode, if they haven't like this episode alone, they could do a whole wave 2 of the Funkos and Black Series on the Ahsoka show on this one episode, but they won't, and I don't know if they will.
I mean, we might get a Throne.
I want one of these guys.
I personally don't like this one.
I think he is freaky. And
he does look very freaky, and it's not like anything we've ever seen in Star Wars before, really.
Yeah. Now, Thrawn, obviously, we'll get onto that in a bit. He announces him as Enoch. His captain, is it his captain's guard? Captain guard? Basically, this is his bodyguard, or this is his right-hand man.
Mm-hmm.
This is the guy that is in charge of all the other stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And his helmet, so cool. Like, I really hope, I don't think I'm going to see one in time, but when we go to London Comic Con in November, I'm really hoping I see one of these helmets, because I just want to see one up close, being like,
I don't know if we will.
I don't think anyone's going to do one in time, but just look at it. So basically, what's happened with this guy, the whole front of his helmet has gone and is being replaced with this golden mask that you'd sort of see in like Roman times, as like,
Yeah.
And then also the front bits of his helmets have like sheared off.
Mm-hmm.
So they're now like solid.
Straighter,
yeah. But it is just a normal stormtrooper helmet, just without the face bit.
Yeah.
And he's got a gold shoulder blade, and he's got the red Imperial logo
Mhm.
on his helmet. But he just looks menacing. Now,
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok earlier, and it was really cool. Someone said Dave Filoni's movie, Star Wars movie, is going to be as good as Revenge of the Sith, because it was like, it had like the Chimera, it had Thrawn, it had Ahsoka, it had Ahsoka, it had Mando, it had like young Luke. I was like, this is going to be very good if these guys survive until that movie. But he just looks like, I've got a couple of photos here of him.
I feel like it might be the black eyes that make him look very creepy. Like he almost looks like a statue or something.
He does a bit, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that's the one that got like the grey helmet in the background.
But yeah, so here we have the emergence of Thrawn again. So good to see.
Yeah.
Like Lars, I'm going to say it now. If any of you are saying someone else should be Thrawn instead of Lars Mikkelsen, get out. Like, please.
I know a lot of people wanted like Benedict Cumberbatch to play him, but I think a lot of what makes Thrawn is his voice. Like he has a very particular way he says things. Like he's almost very quiet, but very stern and very menacing and almost creepy.
No, you're right.
He has kind of like, I don't know, I suppose because he has a lot of authority as well. Like he talks down to people, you know, like I'm in charge here, you do what I say, kind of.
But then he has a great respect as well for people as well. Like we saw that in Rebels.
Very clever. Like I know we saw a lot of it in Rebels, with like how he collected artifacts and stuff, and he learned a lot about Sabine and Hera, like their kind of history.
That one episode when Hera was back at her house, and she tried stealing her cornucopia, basically like her family thing.
Yeah.
And she was there with the admiral or whatever. And Thrawn was, because of he knew he'd studied her history and that, and the way that he spoke, that episode was so good because it was just, you know, he was just there showing how much he'd studied and knew who this person was. It wasn't just a normal serving.
No. And we even see it in this episode. Like as soon as he sees Baylan, he's like, "You're General Baylan Skoll from the Jedi Order." Like he knew exactly who he was just from looking at him for like 2 minutes.
But it's the fact that he said he was general.
Yeah.
So it's like he knows.
So straight away knows like everyone's history. Of who they were.
And then obviously, I gotta be honest, his introduction, right? Like his little monologue that he come up with, probably one of the best introductions in Star Wars. When he comes out and he's like, and I just love the whole little speech, the fact that it was like, you know, for what was it? It was what was once a dream has now become a nightmare reality for all those that impose us, or something. Like, it was just like, it's just the most perfect thing Thrawn could come out with and say. Yeah. You know, like, if he was like, right, guys?
Yeah, no.
It wouldn't have had the same impact, but the fact that he's there and he's like, he says that, and it's like, you're just like, oh, chills, because you know it's Thrawn.
Also, I thought I'd point out, being that we're pointing out all the stormtroopers and stuff, you can't really see it in this picture, but basically his uniform, it's not perfect. You can see here there's like,
especially like on the edge bit there.
On the edge bit, like by those things that look like pens. It looks,
there's a bit of like,
it looks kind of frayed, and then like on the edge of this part, there's a bit fraying as well. Like he's not as pristine as, you know, he used to be.
But he still looks
back in Rebel 6.
but he still looks pristine. It's like
Yeah.
you wouldn't notice that unless you were really looking.
Yeah.
You know, it still looks like an almost like pristine outfit, but he's been on there for 9 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Of course, that you know, like the stormtrooper armor, it's gonna wear and it's gonna break and it's gonna need fixing, like the like we see
like the Star
with
Destroyer and the engines.
and then we get a really cool meeting of Sabine and Thrawn.
Oh yeah. Well, obviously he's seen Sabine before, so he knows exactly,
Yeah,
who
and
she is.
has a interesting little chat, basically being like, you risked your whole, you risked the fate of the galaxy for this one person. Is it worth it? But then, interestingly, he says Balin is Balin made a promise. We'll keep to that promise. So they send her off on one of this weird looking rat dog thing.
Yeah. They're called howlers.
But not the ones from the Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy games. Those are different howlers. But yeah, this weird looking rat thing. But he sends her off with her blasters, Ezra's lightsaber, and one of those devices for her to find him. That we see Han using in Empire to find Luke. Like, he has sent her off with that. And we get a really cool bit where one of my new favourite stormtroopers here, Anuk, tells Sabine, die well. Like,
yeah, very cold.
Very cold. Like, you wouldn't expect that from a normal stormtrooper. Like, normal stormtrooper be like, all right, see ya.
I think these people are Night Brothers.
I'm gonna say they're dead stormtroopers. I don't think they're.
But it's that dark magic, isn't it? Like how in the Clone Wars, Savage was a very different person before he met Mother Talzin, and she put a spell on him and made him evil. Same with Maul.
But she changed his whole physique. He went from quite a skinny, small guy to a massive, tall brute.
Yeah. So we don't know what capability the Night Sisters have, because these could be just regular stormtroopers that have gotten killed during this battle. Obviously they've been stuck there. Thrawn needs an army to help him, so who's he gonna ask? He's gonna get the Night Sisters to bring them back to life, and obviously they may have a bit of a more menacing character than what they did before, which may benefit Thrawn. So yeah.
But yeah, no, again, I just love his look.
It's very different.
So different, so
I
cool.
can see people making those helmets.
And then
these are the Night Sisters.
Finally, here they are. See, they've got the Night Sisters that we.
I mean, this is a good picture actually, because we can see like all their different hats. But yeah, as soon as I saw the middle one, I was thinking, is that Mother Talzin? But no, definitely not.
No, because they were referred to as the Great Mothers. Yeah. So these are people basically like Mother Talzin, but they're not Mother Talzin.
No.
All right. So these are, and again, we've gone back to the whole the three witches. Like Macbeth and. Like episode 2, I think was called Toil and Trouble, like the famous line from Macbeth. There's a lot of that in this whole show and episode, but I think they look great in live action. Yeah. Really good to see. And then, well, I'll get to him in a little bit, but we find Sabine gets attacked by marauders out and about, where she's better with the lightsaber against these guys than
her normal
the blasters.
Yeah. I think she probably regrets living behind her helmet
Yeah.
because she takes a lot of gunfire. And obviously without a helmet, you need to dodge everything aiming at your head. But,
Yep, and she's like, right, no, I'm going to take the lightsaber
Yeah.
and sort it out.
And one of them has like a staff, and she just like chops it smaller until he obviously runs away.
And he's like, nah, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And then we get this sort of almost sort of comedy, not comedy, but like sort of more light scene where she's talking to the Howler, being like, "You coward, you left me," and it's like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
And then obviously she lets it come along, and then we get introduced to
The
this
Howler
little guy.
sniffs a little rock on the floor, and then all of a sudden, he's inside.
We get this little guy, and they are called Naughty
Naughty.
or Nutty. What was it? I can't remember.
My name's Naughty.
Naughty.
When I first saw these, I don't know if you guys remember the arc in the Clone Wars where where R2D2 and there's a couple other astromechs as well, and they go on this adventure with this little green dude, this kind of like lizardy, froggy kind of. I'm not sure what his name was, but they go off on a little adventure with him, and they end up meeting Gregor, who doesn't realize that he's a clone, and then he ends up
remembering
putting back his armor on, and in the end, he's back being a clone commando. At first, I thought this may have been like that kind of species, but he seems a lot bigger. So yeah, definitely not. But similar kind of species, so I thought.
And so no, I mean, as soon as the first thing that I saw the eyes, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's basically the guy that from that thing.
Yeah.
But one thing that I pointed out to you like pretty soon, I was like, I love his little outfit, like his little smart
and
sort
then
of
when I saw
suit.
the outfit, then I was like, oh, he's pretty cute.
He's looking.
I know, and he's almost like sort of sewn on these little teeth. There's like little buttons. It's very cute.
But it's very sophisticated. It looks very, fair play to it.
I really like him.
And then obviously we find.
And he spots Sabine's rebel symbol that she's painted on her armor.
He's got like a sort of a necklace with it on.
Yeah, then he's like, hold on a minute. And pulls out his necklace. And it's obviously the same symbol. I'm guessing maybe Ezra gave it to him. But he's just like, oh, I've seen that somewhere. And then pulls out his necklace. And then she's like, you know Ezra. So then he takes her
It's very
to this little village.
It was very reminiscent for me, from what I saw, of Yoda leading Luke to his hut.
Oh, yeah, true.
Where he then was like,
Mm-hmm.
when he's like, I can teach the boy. But it was very reminiscent of when Yoda first met Luke, wasn't it? Because it was like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, Jedi, And I got that vibe. But then obviously, he goes to the village.
Yeah.
The next image, by the way, is our little Howler.
Yay!
Little dog rat thing.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as like, I'm having a go at it.
Name.
I know, but I don't want to... I'm not calling it like a dog rat thing because that's what I'm thinking, but I'm just like, that's what it looks like. It literally looks like a dog rat.
I mean, they howl. I think they are basically wolves, aren't they? But their faces ratty. Yeah, they have a bit of a rat kind of face, but yeah, they're very similar to the Lothals, I think, where you can sort of ride them, and they're very dog-like character. But obviously the Lothals are more like connected to the Force and stuff like that, whereas these are just kind of living off the land. We've seen the like assassins that she encounters ride them as well, and Balin and Shin end up riding them to try and hunt Sabine down, I guess.
Yeah, and then we get get quite a nice little chat with sort of Balin and Shin.
Yeah,
because they come across the mercenaries that Sabine dealt with, and it's again I love Balin because his character is just so deep and there's just so much to him, you know. And like he's just such an like he's honest. Like he is so honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like he basically says to Shin, he's like, you know, I watched the temple burn. I think that was in the bit with might have been that bit or a little bit when it was just those two, but he tells Shin, you know, I watched the temple burn. You know, these things happen. It's history.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit older now. It was gonna happen at some point, basically.
Yeah.
And he's just so wise, and I just think, obviously, I know it's such a shame that Rey is no longer here, but it's like I would love to have seen more with the character.
Yeah.
If you know, if he had survived, if he'd lived, but yeah, and then obviously we get Sabine taken to the village where we see more of these little naughty little sort of wandering around, and then we see Moses.
Moses.
No,
Ezra
it's
Bridger.
Ezra Bridger, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I was saying to you before we saw him, I was like, he's gonna have long hair and he's gonna have a beard because
you
like
said he's gonna be like Kanan.
I said he's gonna be like Kanan. Obviously, the hair is more sort of season 1 and 2 of Ezra with the sort of way that it's like flicked.
Yeah.
But obviously, he's got a beard now, and if you look carefully as well, he still has the two scratches, scars on his face from the Grand Inquisitor. Because that was when the Grand Inquisitor died, when he because he knocked because he like threw his lightsaber, it like hit Kanan and hit Ezra in the face, and then he fell off, and that Kanan thought he was dead.
Yeah.
And then he obviously beats the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
But now, what do you think? Do you think this guy is a good Ezra?
I think he does look like Ezra. I think it was a good casting. I think he should have had blue hair. I think like he looks good. He looks like Ezra, but I think they're trying to bring stuff like Jason Sandula and stuff. He's got green hair, and Sabine's got purple hair, and it's all like very much like the Rebels show, but I think they kind of skipped that with Ezra.
And
but not honest, that it's a bad thing. It doesn't really matter. It's minuscule. He's got the green. He's got the blue eyes. And I think they've got the likeness really well with all of the characters. Really, like even Sabine, she looks just like the sort of animated version of her. And all the makeup department and stuff for Hera and Ahsoka. Honestly, amazing job. And I think this is really good casting for Ezra.
I really liked him. I was like, he's got like sort of chainmail armor, sort of like underneath his sort of robe.
Yeah, it's something a bit different with his outfit.
Now, I obviously will get on to predictions in a bit, but I just really hope that they aren't doing a Luke from The Last Jedi of like
where he's just giving up.
Yeah, but the fact that he says to Hera, "I can't wait to go home," like it's like okay, so and that little bit as well when he's like, "It did work, didn't it?" And then he was like, "Didn't it?" Because obviously he doesn't know what happened to the battle with the Empire, doesn't know. And obviously Sabine's like, I'm not gonna mention what happened, No. So, but then I got this one up because I really like this one. Just seeing these two back together and seeing them happy. Like
I think also this is a bit of a relief for Sabine because when she's speaking with Thrawn, he's like, "Oh, you come with your friend Ezra. He might be dead." So then there's still that bit of doubt in her mind, like, what if Ezra isn't around? Like, am I coming on this journey for nothing? Like, Ahsoka isn't there yet. She's completely on her own. So I think, to see this Naughty with the little rebel symbol on his chain, and then is sort of like a little bit of hope for her that he may still be around. And then obviously she hears the distant voice like, hey, I can't remember what he says, but then obviously she turns around and it's Ezra, and then she's just like, Thrawn was just messing with me,
And I think this is like the perfect people that Ezra would be with.
Yeah.
He has a connection with animals and creatures, like we see with the Purrgil, like we see with the loaf cats and loaf wolves.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he's hanging out, that he's got himself sort of like a home with, the Naughty and, the creatures, is what I think he would be doing. But I think at the end of the day, I think he also wants to go home. He's been there 9 years,
Yeah.
I just hope that he still has the Force, that he still is a Jedi and such. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see him be like, I'm not doing it anymore. But that's something I could see them do, because he's been in exile for 9 years,
Mm-hmm. I mean, I believe that Ahsoka can help them both to sort of, connect with the Force, to become Jedi. Potentially we will see Luke again, maybe, because he's starting up his sort of training academy, isn't he?
Yep.
That Ben Solo went to, because we're all sort of leading up to that kind of moment, aren't we?
Yeah.
With the sequels. So potentially we may see Luke again. Maybe Jason Syndulla wants to become a Jedi. Maybe Ezra will teach him. We don't know what we're going to see yet, but I think there's definitely a lot of potential. But also, all the gang have to escape that planet without Thrawn and Balin and Shin and Morgan Elsbeth coming after them. So I think, that is the main point that's probably going to be the finale of this season. All of them sort of escaping without any. Well, we all know there's going to be trouble with Thrawn and Balin and that. But it's just, the adventure that it takes us on to sort of see how they escape.
Yeah.
How they get away.
And at the end we could see, the Night Sisters tell Thrawn there's a Jedi coming.
Yeah.
It's like, so they can obviously sense. So they might not have the Force as such, but they've got a connection with spiritually, where they're able to be like, there's someone coming and it's a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is, which I thought was really interesting. Now, how did he know this? Unless Morgan has obviously told him.
Mm-hmm.
But he goes, could it be the recently deceased Ahsoka Tano? So it's like, okay. Well, obviously we don't know that she died, but to Balin and to Shin and to everyone, she did die.
Yeah.
But I just think it's like really interesting. It's like, how did he? Obviously, he would have known Ahsoka's connection to Sabine and the Rebels and Ezra and that, because he knows Ezra like so well. So I think the fact that it's like, he's like
did he know?
the recently deceased Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And then
somehow word has got to him.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a theory, because Morgan Elsbeth kept saying, like, Thrawn calls me. So maybe there's something that she's sort of done. Maybe. Because the troopers, if they are sort of Night Sister magic, the night troopers, maybe she's kind of told them with her thoughts, like the Night Sisters do, and one of them, maybe the one with the gold face, has spoken to Thrawn, passed on the information that Ahsoka's passed or whatever, because as far as she's aware, Ahsoka's gone.
Yep.
Because she's just going by, what Balin and Shin have told her.
But then also as well, I think the fact that he says a really good line when he says resurrection and deception or something is common for the Jedi and Night Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then obviously she said about Balin, and he was like, well, he was a Jedi, so maybe he has not taught, is not to be trusted or that. So, we'll see where that goes. And then obviously he says to Morgan and the Night Sisters or the Great Mothers, if any Purgle approach, just kill them without prejudice. Just don't worry about it. Just kill them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, maybe next episode it's going to start with coming out of hyperspace and they're going to be shot at.
Yeah.
The whales are going to be shot at. So we might see some Purgle die next week. So that might be quite a tough one to start with, because some people are going to be like, no, I can't watch it.
No, not the animals.
And then he says as well, Great Mothers, I require I require again your dark magic. So we don't know what he needs the magic for, but I believe from what we've seen in this episode, the dark or the Night Sister magic has one, fixed the Chimera, brought the stormtroopers back to life, shall we say. This is,
maybe we'll see it in action.
Maybe
The stormtroopers being repaired.
Yeah, but that's my opinion. I reckon that's what we're going to see, and I'm excited with it. And again, seeing Lars Mikkelsen as Thrawn, different class. Like, he's so good in live action. Like, I loved him as a comic, like as the sort of animated, so we say. But seeing him in live action and just hearing his voice, it's like it's perfect, isn't it? Like, he couldn't have done it any better, and it's just like, hey, my day. Right.
That's very cool.
Yeah. What did you think of the episode overall?
I think it was very good. Yeah.
Out of 10?
I don't think it was, like, for me, last week's episode, I can't top that.
True.
That was, like, 11 out of 10.
True. You had Clone Wars Anakin, you had Rex, you had...
I think it also depends kind of what your favourite shows are. Like, some people might prefer Rebels to Clone Wars, so this episode may have been better for them because they're like, we got to see Thrawn and Ezra. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll give it like 8.5.
I'm going to give it a 9.5.
Okay.
Like I said, I just think the whole seeing the ship, seeing the Death Troopers, seeing Thrawn, seeing Ezra, being in a different galaxy is just like, I can't fault this episode really. Like, but really good episode.
Very interesting.
So we are going to finish this week. Trooper of the week. Do you want to do that first?
Yes. And then we need to do meme of the week as well.
Yes. We always do meme of the week.
We love a meme of the week. So my trooper of the week is someone I found on TikTok called Eden Sanders. He's got very cool clone armor, and he's got a little Camtono. It's got a hollow. He's done this video. It's got like a hollow projector inside the Camtono, and then he's done like a execute order 66. 67. And then he's cooking. So apparently number 67 was cooking. Although I think in Robot Chicken, 67 was like the dancing.
No, that's the Lego. It was the Lego Star Wars game. Because that's the voice from. And he's like, Yes, sir. And then all the like clones will start like dancing and singing.
Okay.
He's like, no, 60.
So yeah, that made me laugh. How he's like cooking at the end, and very cool cosplay. So that was my trooper of the week.
One thing I will say as well that I don't know how he done it, but he got like an AI's Bradley Bradley Baker's voice on it.
I don't know if there's something like that on TikTok, because you can do like the where you put like text and then you can do like voice to text. I don't know if there's because there's certain ones that sound like C3PO and stuff like that. So I don't know if there's one that sounds like a clone trooper.
Well, I have heard like AI in the past with like Dee's voice, but that was definitely his voice over the top of it.
There was like the singing clankers, and then they did the singing clone troopers as well, which I thought was quite cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mine is a guy called Star Wars Elites. And basically, I'm giving him a shout out this week because I really liked what he posted. I found it interesting. So he put the original Millennium Falcon history. So he's put a model up of the ship, what was going to be the original Millennium Falcon. But then, it was designed because it looked too much like the ship from Space 1999. And to avoid any similarities and all that, they redesigned that to be the Tantive 4 that we see in,
okay.
So obviously if you look at that one,
yeah,
compared to that one, it's basically
okay,
just sort of switched.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that was interesting, and he's obviously put as well on it like other concept designs that they had for the Millennium Falcon. And it's just in history that I don't know about. I never knew about that there was all these different like shapes, and then it says that the designer put two bowls on top of another and essentially created a flying saucer and then drew out the concept from that. Like, that's quite clever, isn't it, when you think that's how the Millennium Falcon came about? Just two plates, basically bowls on top of each other, and then that's my trooper of the week.
Nice. We love facts.
We do love facts. Star Wars Elites is his name, by the way, in case you forgot. So we have here meme of the week. Now, I'm a bit of a cat person, so I quite like this one anyway. It says my boyfriend said, "Oh my god, my cat looks like Baby Yoda," and I look over, and then so clearly this cat, he's got his ears like quite wide out, and the fact that like there's just a grey like towel just chilling in front of him, it's like that's Baby. But like you have to take that photo so quick because if he looks away or it's like his head's up too high or something, then it's like it's wasted. Yeah. But that is Baby Yoda. Yeah. But yeah. Oh. That was my meme.
Yeah. You love the cats.
I do. Get some more cats in Star Wars. I know who my trooper of the week was going to be as well. Now you said cats.
Oh, that's good.
I'll do it next week. Have to find him. But yeah, that is it from us guys. We hope you've enjoyed today's breakdown video. We'll be back next Thursday, probably a little bit later. I'm not sure what time yet, but a little bit later, but it's going to be next Thursday. And we've got a guest. Ooh, do you want to announce?
Okay. So we have an Anakin cosplayer joining us next week, and he's called Simply Skywalking. So some of you may have seen him on TikTok. Yeah, he's got lots of funny TikToks.
We've known him for like a bit, but we've not sort of really spoke to him until like recently.
Yeah, we did sort of see him at Celebration as well. But
But yeah, so we're looking forward to having him on next week. Yeah. Again, most of you will probably have heard of him or known him or seen him on your TikTok. Yeah. So it's going to be quite an interesting guest to have on. We can't wait to be
And we love
talking.
Anakin, so yeah, we can talk all
Talk
things
all
Anakin.
things Anakin and all about his cosplay, which
And
would be
obviously
really cool.
we'll be talking about Ahsoka as well.
Yeah, so we won't. Don't forget, we will be doing the breakdown, but we'll be doing it with Simply. So we will see you guys there. Thank you for listening,
Yes.
and we'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.